Hey, it's the Chief Bonding with Board Games and RPGs. We're back to Twilight 2000. Casimir and Edic, his brother, the Orphans. And this is Season 2, Episode 4. Had 4 up, my bad. Not Season 4. Season 2, Episode 4. I will be using especially the cards from Urban Ops Twilight 2000. Of course, this is the 4th edition from Free League. Let me clear these out. I will also be using, well, I already said there's some of the cards that are both from the base game and Urban Ops. And one of the things I wanted to do is Kanan Krieg from Season 1 is still present. So no spoilers on that. Go see Season 1 if you don't know. But he's a sociopath. And whenever I film, I'll do 3 episodes with him following one of the laws from the 48 Laws of Power. So I'm going to establish that right away. Then we'll catch up on where we're at. And let me see. I'm going to go to the front here and just determine. Hey, Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 48.
It's 1.
1 it is. So what is the numero uno, number 1? I'm going to read from the little there's like little pre-breakdowns here. So Law 1. Never outshine the master. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. Okay? In your desire to please or impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite. Inspire fear and insecurity. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. So this is an interesting point because Krieg, and I know this is about the orphans, not Krieg, but we got to set up what is the psycho doing. Krieg, in the first 3 episodes and now leading into the next 3, has been kind of sitting back. And it's almost like he's unsure, he's recalibrating or being very cautious, which is interesting. Not bad for a sociopath to do because he's going to sit back and not outshine the master, which we're going to just consider Major McGiffin and Zajac, the acting judge. So that will be our law when it comes to Krieg. Now, of course, Casimir, the lead orphan, Edic, his younger brother. Edic's working the ham radio. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Casimir is following the coin that was gifted to him by Pacheco in Season 1. So, when possible, he is letting this coin guide him. Now, he's also in the process of learning English from Old Man Kaz. See prior episodes, Season 2. But I want to open up with their back at base. The Russian radio operators have been taken or held by Zajac. He's going to probably figure out what the heck they're up to. They're saying they will contact Spetsnaz, which is what Major McGiffin and Krieg had wanted. They were at the bridge. They've decamped back to their own bases. I've got Casimir coming back. Now, again, his brother Edic, turns out he's kind of nerdish. He's all into the ham radio. He's extremely intelligent. He's figured out how to convert it. He's fixed it. And he's been chatting with a group back in the States in Indiana he's talking to a ham radio that they've got a small little dam, hydroelectric dam, up and working. The first thing I want to do is find out some more information on that, because that thread's going to continue. First of all, I just like this bouncing of the stratosphere and this connection to the United States. Now, Edic and Casimir can speak English, probably not that great, but enough to converse. And I wanted to find out more information that Edic has gotten. So Baron de Rapp from Dungeon Masterpiece has this very cool thing you can do to randomize NPCs or events, and I'm going to do it here. So you just simply create 6 lists and 3 things across. So who's possibly running this ham radio? College group. What would be like a positive out of that? They want to be a pure to Edic, and a negative would be they're just chit-chatting for fun. There's almost no substance here. But I've done 6 different groups like this. So I've got regular military control, and then a skilled commo guy that Edic's talking to, which I think he'd be interested in. However, they'll be seeking intel from EDIC. So it's kind of what a regular military would do. But I've also got city militia, a religious group, unsure if it's going to be more positive or cultish. That's in the negative side. We've got a lone wolf, which is just a guy in a bunker and a paranoid watcher, ding, ding, ding. And a brand new government, the official government, which is apparently decamped to this area, seeking knowledge, but also wanting EDIC to declare his organization state affiliation. Well, a kid in Nisno. Now, there's some stuff I didn't cover there, but that's because what we're going to do is roll 6-sided dice, 3 of them, and it's going to determine exactly who EDIC's talking to. So this is randomized, and it's a different number from each line. So even though I have a religious group, and then I have a pious individual, and then it's going to be either negative is either it's cultish or a good group. We don't know. But these can be cross-purposed. So you can end up with really wild things. So I'll show you. So we've got 1. All right, so it's a college group. So he's talking to a college group. Now again, this can still go down weird rows because we're going to roll again on the second line chart. 5. 5 is just a guy in his bunker. Okay, so a college group, but a guy in his bunker. All right. Interesting. I say interesting a lot, but this is interesting. And the last one is 5 again. So that's coming across, and he's a paranoid watcher. Okay. Not quite what I thought, but that's exactly what this is supposed to be. So it could have gone down multiple roads, but who EDIC is talking to, or who he's figured out so far he's talking to, is there's a college group that's still running, which originally was a college study hydroelectric dam, that's still running this, but he's talking to a guy in his bunker, and he's a paranoid watcher. So what this tells me is he's part of the college, but he's also a little bit removed, almost like EDIC himself. So it's truly a peer to EDIC. Hey Siri, give me a random American male name. Jeffrey Cooper. By the way, you can use, it's called Fake Name Generator, just a website, but it's great because you can put in gender, the name set, in this case American, and then country United States, but you can play with that. So Jeffrey F. Cooper. And then there's a bunch of fake information here, like a city he's from, a fake soch. I don't need any of that, but I've got Jeffrey F. Cooper. All right, so EDIC's going on and on with Casimir when he returns about how, hey, he's talking to this kid, college student, Jeffrey Cooper, who's a part of the college, but kind of just lurking and watching and using their power, but he's almost just like EDIC. He's just in the United States, and how cool is this? And awesome, and kind of that geeking out on the ham radio side as EDIC. So nothing nefarious here, but fine. All right. And I've set another one of these up for exactly what kind of trial it has Zajac set up for Bartek, because I wanted to focus on this. Now, sidebar, and by the way, these are odd shows. I know, theater of the mind, just me talking, not me showing maps or anything. That is how it's going to continue. And if you like it, please subscribe and like. And some don't, but if you're still here, you probably do. What I thought about this was Casimir's clearly made a connection, and he's been working as a bridge by design for the base. And I think they're going to want him embedded more so. Don't forget, some of the threads that are still up and running are, we have the Trials of Nisno. The Spetsnaz are now in the loop. Gold Bank of Poland, which is in Warsaw, which is what Krieg originally even got Major McGiffin on board for, and he might need to get Zajac on board for. The ham radio we just covered, the Russian radio operators would show up. There's still some contractors out in the wind reading English and the animosity, which I don't think will be a problem with Law 1 in place between the Major McGiffin, and Creek. Those are the threads that are in place. Very first thing, I'm using Mythic, not very first thing. What we're going to do now is on Mythic, is there a random event before there's a sit-down meeting about what just happened on the bridge? Chaos factor is currently 5. We roll a 10-sided die, 4. So there is a random event. We come over to the Mythic chart, and we're going to go with what is that event focus. Percentile die 32. It is introduce a new PC, a new NPC. All right, I think I said new PC. Now, right off the bat, I'm thinking this simply could be a contractor coming in, but we'll keep those in mind, but I'm going to just go over and go to action and subject, see where it leads me here. 89 is attract. All right, could be Spetsnaz. Attract what though? Attract 42, a plot. Okay. Well, a plot to do what? I'm going to need some more. Let's roll it again. 53. 53 is adversity. Okay. That could be going and getting the gold. That would be quite the trials and tribulations. 51 under subject is jealousy. Oh boy. Okay, let's go one more time. I can do 3 times on this. 52, adjourn. Adjourn tells me that maybe we will be dealing with this will happen once the trial's over. Adjourn. And a 2 is dreams. So that could also just mean dreams are gone. Dreams are over. Attract the plot. So I believe this has got to be the Spetsnaz that are going to show up. Because of the attract, which we've been doing, signage out, even the Russians have shown up, it advances kind of that overall plot, which was go for the gold. Adversity and jealousy, I could definitely see that being an issue with Spetsnaz arriving, and then adjourn dreams. Which means stop dreaming or finish the dream and go get it. So I believe that will be the issue. And that kind of sidebars the fact that Zajak's even held on to these guys. So an NPC with a Russian name. I'm going to go right back to that name chart I was just on, the fake name generator. We're going to stay with male, but we're going to move to Russian. Timur Vladislav is our Spetsnaz. Let me put that in. So, as a random event, I would imagine he walks up to the gate. Does he? We're going to go to Mythic. 50-50. Does Timur Vladislav walk up to the gate? 20. Yes. So, I think rifle slung. So it's been several weeks since the main attack, but obviously Timur Vladislav can see that there's been combat in the area. But he walks up to the guard shack, rifle slung, hands to the side, wearing, I think he would be wearing whatever appears to be Spetsnaz camo. And he looks formidable. He doesn't look like a joke, nor, I guess, do we know he's alone. He may not be alone. But he walks up to the gate in that heavy Russian accent. He simply says, hands out to his side. I attempted a Russian accent. It was terrible. I've cut that out. But he walks up to the guard post and says, take me in heavy Russian accent to whoever is in charge. The person does not let them in. The soldier goes and alerts First Sergeant Wilson. Wilson would come to the gate. I think being informed, well, would he come to the gate? I think this is almost very likely 85%, 59, yeah. First Sergeant Wilson comes down to the gate, sees what appears to be a Spetsnaz in all shape and form, and he says, what do you want? And Timur is like, well, I said I wanted to talk to whoever was in charge. No offense, First Sergeant. Again, all in heavy Russian accent. I think First Sergeant Wilson is like, okay. And you are? Recognizing, I think First Sergeant, and I think the Spetsnaz would recognize, clearly knows he's dealing with a senior level NCO, and I think Timur simply says, I'm who you've been looking for. Does First Sergeant just say, Spetsnaz? I'm going to go again with very likely. I think that feels like the conversation. 44, so I'm also going to do another random event here. So he says, yeah. So Timur Vladislav Spetsnaz, yet another random event. Who is it in reference to? 77, lots of doubles. This is ambiguous. So there's an ambiguous event tied to this. Tied to this. 19 is waste. Okay. 5 inside. 29 take. 24 tension. All right. I think Timur, it's an ambiguous event. So waste inside, take tension. Well, playing back in, so it's an ambiguous event. I think Vladislav raises his right hand straight up. And right as it hits its peak, this is after he said, yes, take me to whoever's in charge. Sure, Spetsnaz, First Sergeant, no offense, but you're not the leader. The ambiguous event is he raises that right hand and extends it straight up, and on waist inside and take tension, you hear a high-powered rifle, sniper rifle, pops off, and I believe there is some kind of metal, whatever that could be. So nothing trying to shoot a person. We could assume that a sniper could find something that's going to make quite the noise, not a church bell, but some kind of boom, like he's hit steel somewhere, which is inside, wasting inside and take tension. So Timur's not alone. Sniper shot for dramatic effect. And I think First Sergeant's like, I'll go get the man in charge. And Timur's hand comes back down as such. First Sergeant goes and finds McGiffin and Krieg in conversation about Zajac and what just happened with radio operators. This almost tells me that Timur probably, not that these radio operators were Spetsnaz, but maybe he had a little bit more control than anybody knows because he sure showed up right after. First Sergeant relays, apparently I got a Spetsnaz out front. I think Krieg jumps up and is like, yeah, woo! He's all excited. He's fired up. This moves him towards the gold in his eyes. I think Major McGiffin's a little bit like, really, that's the shot I heard? And he said, oh yeah, I went up and told him I was in charge when he asked. He raised one arm, he had him up, straight up, and when he did, sniper that I have no idea where he's at, popped some metal inside our base. And then, hands came back down. He wants to meet whoever's in charge. Now, Law 1, Krieg immediately says, well, Major, that's you. Never outshine the master, baby. This is what the Major's looking for. So, Major slides his chair out, checks his stuff. Creed gets up, wearing his Gucci camouflage is what I'm going to call it. I know it's a nice Swedish pattern, but I'm going to still call it Gucci camouflage. And I would imagine you've picked up a little bit of, it's broad daylight, but you've picked up a little bit of an audience with this single shot as well. Is Casimir present for this? I'm going to go simple yes. Well, no, let's go a little bit more likely with a shot being fired. 56, yes. So Casimir's there as well. Does Edic come out? I think this is unlikely. 35. 30. So Edic has actually come out as well. He must have been briefing Casimir on this college guy who's he's been chit-chatting with. They hear the shot and they come out, and there will be a dialogue between the Spetsnaz and Major McGiffin using UNE. So the Universal NPC Emulator, they've got a great section in here that helps with conversations. So we've already set some of this for conversation mood. I know this isn't going to be hated or hostile, and it's not going to be loved or necessarily friendly. I think my options here are peaceful, neutral, or distrustful. And I'm going to stick with just one of those three because of the whole nature of what we're doing with the game as it's let us be known. So 1, 2 will be peaceful, 3, 4 neutral, and it's a 4. So we're going to go with neutral, which is kind of exactly where I would expect him to be. We're sitting at a neutral, and to then go up on percentile, I want to find out. There's these other withdrawn, guarded, cautious, sociable, helpful, and forthcoming. We're trying to find out what exactly is Timur like. We've got a general idea, 99. Wow. So he's very forthcoming. All right. So it's nice and easy that Major McGiffin gets out there. He has his rank on and looks like the Major, introduces himself as Major McGiffin. And Timur says, I hear you're looking for me. I like it. And Major McGiffin says, well, my first sergeant says that you're identifying as Spetsnaz. And Timur, being very forthcoming, says, identifying, living as, and standing in front of you. I like it. Forthcoming. Now, what can I do for you? If we look here, so we have the bearing, I believe, is all fine. Do I want any more with bearing? Inquisitive, knowing, I've kind of just hit it. And I don't think I need to work on it. So what can I do for you? I don't think I need to work on focus. Well, let's just roll on a focus and see what it gives me. What does Timur want? I would imagine money, but 60. We're looking at coming across an antagonist. His focus is an antagonist. Okay. Well, I think that will go more towards once Warsaw's brought up. I like that. So back to Major McGiffin. I think he says, well, we would love to chat. Do you want to have your friends join us? He says, Timur's like, oh no, they've joined us. They won't be coming in unless I don't come out. I like it. Timur sounds a little bit like a badass. Major McGiffin says, okay, let's go talk. And as Timur starts to approach the gate, I think First Sergeant says, let's leave the rifle. And Timur is Timur willing to leave the rifle? I think that's unlikely. 35%. 53 says, not today, not ever. I think his hands are still out to the side. And Major McGiffin says, "That's fine, Top. You're with us, and you keep an eye on our friend." And he says, "Roger that." First Sergeant's on it, baby. I think Casimir and Edic are watching this. They're not going to be invited to this meeting. No way. But they are nosy. So as they move to the Major's office, not Krieg's, but the Major's office, wherever in his HQ, it's got quite the stir. I would imagine Casimir and Edic kind of know how to sneak around, and is there a place you can get where you can listen to? I think it's somewhat unlikely they're going to be able to listen in on plans, but who knows? 46. Once they go into the office, they're kind of like, I think Casimir says, "Hey, let's linger around and find out what's going on." And Edic says, "You let me know, Casimir. I'm going back to the radio." This has lost interest for him. Back to the radio he goes. So the discussion, the Major sits down. First Sergeant's got cover. He's not going to be part of this conversation. He's just covering. I don't think he's directly on or anything, but he's at like a low ready. Krieg's present, still following Law 1. He does not want to outshine McGiffin. So the Major's got this. The Major, there's introductions done around. Timur Vladislav is giving his name. We can assume that's maybe his real name. Who knows? And the Major does what most military folks, including myself, do, which he just starts calling him Vladislav. So he says, "Vladislav, it's quite simple and straightforward. We have information of quite the monetary find within Warsaw." And Vladislav chuckles just like that, antagonistic, and says, "Warsaw is irradiated." And the Major says, "Oh, we know, we've got the same reports you did." And Vladislav says, "No, you don't." And the Major says, "Fair enough," which is why we wanted to meet you in the first place. We have information, but we know we can't get in and out of Warsaw as U.S. soldiers. And Vladislav says, "True, you would never make it that far. But why in the world, I don't care what the money is, you won't be able to spend too long there, or you'll never be able to get to spend it." And the Major says, "So you're saying no one's there?" "Oh, I didn't say that. There's people there. And I've been through there. But you don't want to linger if you get my meeting." McGiffin says, "100%, we don't want to linger. We want to get in and get back out. And that's why we need you." And Vladislav says, "Oh, you'll need me and mine. Tell me what we're talking about." And I think the Major now gets a little bit nervous. Does the Major kind of point over toward Krieg? It's Krieg's whole deal. 50-50. 50 or less points to Krieg. Ooh, 76. He's going to he's keeping control, baby. He says, boy, how do you say it so that he won't just go get it on his own? All right. I think he just says, "Gold bullion." Vladislav says, Yeah. Everybody talks about the gold at the First Bank of Warsaw. It wasn't there. And I think at this point in time, Krieg says, "It's because you didn't know where to look." So Vladislav looks at Krieg, cocks his head, because what you just had was Vladislav is aware, I think as most people would be, of the gold bank. He boldly said it's not there. And now Krieg has basically let it be known that he knows where it is. So I think Vladislav says, well, we might be able to work together, but trust may be a problem. I think McGiffin takes back control right there and says, there's enough gold that if we partner together, we'll each be independently wealthy. Vladislav says, oh, I think you trust me too much. And I think you trust him too much. Ooh, he points right at Krieg. Of course he does. I can feel it. And I think Krieg stays quiet again. Law 1. I think Major McGiffin is kind of like, Vladislav says, but you've got my interest. Okay? I think we've got to park that there. Matter of fact, we'll park it there with him giving a statement. But you've got my interest, and I want my radio guys back. McGiffin says, well, they're not being held by us. They're being held by Zajac. And Timur says, I know. But I think you can help me get them back. I sent them in here because you were looking for Spetsnaz. You've got Spetsnaz. I want the radio crew back. It'll be part 1 of us getting back into Warsaw and out alive. Boom. So there it is. He says, you get them back and you'll see me again. He slides his chair back, and I think McGiffin says, well, hold on. He says, if I don't go now, my friends will come. Oh, that's it. And I think he turns and just starts to walk away. Weapons slung, no threats other than what he just said. He walks back out the gate where he came and up through some buildings, and he's gone. So Krieg, Major McGiffin, and First Sergeant Wilson all linger and go, well, that's exactly how I imagined Spetsnaz would be. And Krieg says, oh, I think we're on our way. And Major McGiffin says, how do we get the radio guys? And at that point, Krieg says, call Casimir in. Scene. We didn't get too far, but I didn't know Spetsnaz were going to show up. We didn't even get to the jury trial sheet that I have done up because we didn't leave the base. Casimir will come in and we will open up the next episode with, you got to go hang out with Zajac and Old Man Kaz and get these radio operators to us. We'll cover that when we get to it. All right, Spetsnaz are in play. The gold is now front and center. I guarantee Krieg and McGiffin and First Sergeant Wilson, they could care less about the trials as long as it's not looking, they're still at a kind of a compromised, weak position. And it sure would be nice to be able to go get gold and to have a place to bring it back to and fortify. So some things I'm going to have here. Casimir, I think it'll be Casimir and Krieg will travel to Zajac and work this release. And I don't think they can be honest about already having contact with Spetsnaz. Maybe it comes up, maybe it doesn't. The second thing I think they're looking for, they've got to find some folks that are going to supplement this base because you figure how many people are you taking? You know, is 10 enough? I don't know how many would be left, but they only have, I think we figured about 60 some troops left on base as it stands. So if you're taking I don't think you could get 30 to where you need to go. That seems a bit much. But 10 to 15? I don't know. So we're going to try to get some new recruits for the base and farmers. The farms got to get worked. And I actually think they could get some folks in now with how Nisno isn't really all that hostile to them. But I still also want to see the trial of Bartek. So when we come back on the next episode, we're going to be Krieg and Casimir going to see Zajac, Oman Kaz. We'll do the reading thing, trying to get new recruits and farmers, and then also the trial. All right. Timur Vladislav, and what at least is one other Spetsnaz, probably more than that, judging by the way he walked in and knew he would be able to walk back out, or he's bluffing. The contact's been made. Chief, bonding with board games and RPGs. If you really like the show, I've had a couple people come on and back on Patreon. That helps me out a lot. Unique content here, I know. Not for everybody, I know, but all the more reason I need help from you. Also, to help with the algorithms, if you can like and subscribe, it gets this show to more people so that they can find it and hopefully like and subscribe. But I enjoy it. I'm going to keep on doing it. See you guys. Chief, bonding with board games and RPGs.